Now, this is significant. The man charged in the 1996 shooting death of rap icon Tupac Shakur made his first court appearance today.
It's a sight Tupac's family and millions of fans around the world doubted they'd ever see. 27 years after his killing, Dwayne Davis, a man long known to investigators, in court charged with murder.
So guess what, the cops have finally slapped charges on a dude linked to Tupac Shakur's murder back in '96. Can you believe that mess? Tupac was just 25, but man, he pulled off more in those years than any of us could dream of. It felt like there was this big conspiracy. We'd never get to the bottom of it because so many players were in the game. They were pointing fingers at P Diddy, blaming Suge Knight, who, by the way, was cruising in the car and got suspected of setting up the whole shooting. Why? 'Cause Tupac wanted out of his record label Death Row, and there was all that drama with Notorious B.I.G. And get this, even the cops were in the mix. Some of them were working off duty for these crime guns linked to Death Row. It's nuts. Nobody seemed trustworthy in this whole crazy scenario. Let's dive into this wild ride and unravel the mystery. Shall we? People have pretty much given up hope ages ago that we'd ever figure out what went down with Tupac. His mom spent decades fighting for it. Swears, but she's gone now, and justice is just a word at this point. Better late than never. Though at least we've got some answers now. Let's rewind to the night of the murder, September 7th, 96. Mike Tyson was throwing down against Selden in Vegas, and you know Tupac and Tyson were tight. Tupac always rolled deep, causing a ruckus wherever he went. This time they spot Orlando Anderson in the hotel lobby. Rival gang to Tupac's blood screw. Check out the CCTV. Tupac and Anderson had beef before, and it's all going down. Suge Knight joins in, giving Anderson a beating. They're strutting out like they own the place, so Tupac and Suge decide to hit up the 662, a Mo-Bone joint, the mafia vibes, and all. Last pick of Tupac and Suge is snapped there. Suge at the wheel, talk riding shotgun now. Here's the deal. Tupac pulls up at a stoplight on the Vegas Strip. A white Cadillac rolls up and bam, shots fired. Tupac takes it, survives for about a week, but he's never the same. Lungs filled with blood and the game changed. Guess forever. So peeps weren't really buying the whole Tupac's got thing because you know he'd been shot before and shrugged it off like it was nothing. Dude seemed immortal or something. People thought, he'll bounce back. It didn't hit them right away that this was the real deal. Let's take it back to the time when Pac actually got lucky and dodged death coming for him.
If you lose your composure, you can do anything. And fear got stronger than love, and niggas did things that they know they wasn't supposed to do. They know in their heart. That's why they in hell now.
Right.
They can't sleep. That's why they telling all of the reporters and all the people, why they doing this? They fucking up hip-hop, because they in hell. They can't make money, they can't go anywhere, they can't look at themselves, because they know the prodigal son has returned. I'm alive. The ghost is walking around.
On November 29, the 1994, Tupac and his buddy, Charles Fuller, faced serious charges: sodomy, sexual abuse, and weapons possession.
Trouble always seemed to find Shakur, who found himself in numerous scrapes with the law.
Shakur's police record included charges of shooting at police, carrying a loaded gun, and assault. And in 1995, a jury found him guilty of sexual abuse.
The accusations came from a 19-year-old woman named Ayanna Jackson, who claimed Tupac and Fuller messed with her in Tupac's fancy hotel suite on November 18, 1993. Imagine $750 a night spot on the 38th floor of the Parker Meridian Hotel. So during the jury's first day of figuring out what Tupac bounces for a Harlem publicity gig and a recording session with Little Sean at Times Square's Quad Recording Studio. Picture this, he's potentially facing 25 years in the slammer, and he knows this recording might be his last for a while now. Jump to November 30, 1994, Tupac's in Manhattan, waiting for the verdict, and bam, he's ambushed and shot in the lobby of the Times Square recording studio. His lawyers cry, set up. Tupac points fingers at Biggie Smalls, who's upstairs in the studio at the time. Earlier that night, Tupac got an invite from a New York DJ named Ron G to record for free. He agrees, being the cool dude he is, and heads to Quad Studios for the session. But here's the twist: he gets a call saying they don't have the cash to pay him. After some back and forth, Tupac's assured he'll get paid by Uptown Entertainment after recording at 12:16 a.m. Tupac and his crew roll up to Quad Studios. Teenage junior mafia members holler at him from the terrace. Tupac thinks it's all good upstairs. It's a party. Biggie, Puffy, and more. Quad Studios is buzzing with excitement as Tupac and his squad approach the studio entrance. They spot three dudes in army fatigues, Brooklyn style. Tupac's is like whatever. They get buzzed in, walk towards the elevator, and bam, ambush. Three guys, two guns, and Tupac on the floor getting robbed. They snag his jewelry, shoot him 5 times, and beat him up. Tupac loses a testicle from one of the bullets. The robber swiped $35,000 worth of Tupac's gold, and Freddie Moore, Tupac's manager, loses $5,000 in jewelry. The chaos continues, and Tupac dragged into the elevator heading upstairs for first aid. Tupac shocked. Nobody upstairs seems fazed by the madness. Tupac's bleeding out. But he's Tupac. He makes a call, lights a joint, and dials 911. Cops show up, and Tupac recognizes some familiar faces from past encounters. In a typical Tupac move, he flips off the photographers as they wheel him out on a stretcher at Bellevue Hospital. They patch him up. Dr. Leon Potter says Tupac's lucky the bullets weren't bigger, or he'd be dead. Against doctor's advice, Tupac checks himself out at 6:45 p.m. and his mom wheels him past reporters. The next day, Tupac shocks everyone by showing up in court wheelchair and all. He's got that charmed Rolex still on, gauze on his left wrist, and a Yankees hat covering his bandaged head. Tudac's a living legend even after a wild night like that. Not too long after the NY shooting, Pac found himself in trouble on the other coast. Orlando Anderson, the main suspect, got jumped by Tupac's crew, but not long after he got off, just like many others in those street wars back. Here's the kicker: one guy from the car didn't get whacked, and now a couple of decades later, he's on YouTube spilling the beans and pretty much pointing fingers at himself. Say hello to Keefe.
Said the shots came from the back. Big Dre, Orlando.
Who shot Tupac?
To keep it for the code of the streets. It just came from the backseat, bro.
So Keefe spills the beans in these YouTube interviews talking about the 662 club scene. Tupac and Suge were a new, so Orlando and his crew were out hunting for them now. YD is trying to play it cool, saying, oh, it came from the back seat. I was just in the passenger seat. Classic move, right? He's basically trying to ride the wave of being involved without fully admitting to it. But let's be real. He's been yapping about this for years. In interviews, reminds me of what Chris Rock said: slap a demo tape on someone and the cops won't care. In KYD's case, it's like, I feel bad for Tupac, but attacking Orlando was fair game. The whole thing's been a wild ride, and this dude's been talking like it's an everyday story life. It's been a solid 27 years since Tupac got hit up in that Vega Drive. You feel me? The cops snagged Dwayne Davis, aka Keefe D, a Southside Compton Crips dude, who's been fronting like he witnessed the whole deal. Got nabbed on September 29th that they slapped him with a murder charge, talking about using a deadly weapon, and the judge was like, no bail, bro. So back in July, the cops rolled up on Keefe D's spot, looking for all sorts of tech gear. Word as a grand jury had been digging into the proof for months. Keefe D's been spilling a lot about that night, even dropped some details in the 2019 memoir called Compton Street Legend. Oh, and here's a kicker: he's Orlando Baby Lane Anderson's uncle. The dude they thought pulled the trigger back in '96. Anderson got smoked in '98, but state claiming he did. On off, Tupac. Keefe D spilled the tea in 2018 about being in that Cadillac, and now he's the Lone Ranger from that ride he spilled to the cops in 2010. Threw it in his memoir, talking about it was to dodge a drug ring. Rap Tupac's murder's been buzzing for ages with all kinds of wild theories, like it's tied to Biggie's death. 6 months later, Greg Kading, this retired LAPD detective on the case, says it was a headache to crack until Keefe started yapping.